Welcome to Chandwell. My name's Michael and I'm building this N-scale model of a run-down West Yorkshire town set in 1993. The top of Station Road has its roof and chimney stacks. It also has a row of elegant dentils holding up a stone gutter, and in this episode I'll show how I went about constructing this, which because it's N-scale is really quite small. The real building in Ilkley has elegant dentils along the front, and I decided to make these from one sheet of 1mm card. Using the building's construction plan in Inkscape, I arranged simple rectangles along the front and spaced them out evenly. I spaced them more widely around the back as the builders seem to have preferred function over expensive form when it couldn't easily be seen. I've left a space at the ends for the elegant corbels which will go on later. In place, you can see how this is going to look. And yet it's just a simple rectangle of card. I started by cutting it to shape along the outer edges of the dentils, and then using my scalpel I sliced into the sides of each block, before cutting out the back edge. The little rectangles of card would ping out and fly all over my room. I cut a slot in the middle for the inner roof support. Because it was cut to size based on the building plan, the component just slotted into place between the walls. This is why it's really important when working in Inkscape to keep all your dimensions just right down to the thickness of the card. I calculated my 1mm card to be about 1.2mm, so I used that when I'm drawing in Inkscape, and then when I cut it all out, it all fits together just right. I use a similar technique for the gutters. These will be a stack of 3 pieces of 0.5mm card. 2 for a stepped base, and 1 for the lip of the gutter. This piece is just 0.9 of a millimetre wide. I find that it's easier to accurately cut tiny pieces of card like this if I use a solid colour rather than the outline that the larger pieces use. Once printed, I stuck the components to 0.5mm card and carefully cut them out using my scalpel. Once cut, the delicate parts stack on top of each other with PVA glue. I use my ruler to keep the thin bit from bending. These then stick on top of the dental component that I made earlier. The result is a delicate piece of detail that has the look of elegance that I was aiming for. I used slightly thinned stone-coloured acrylic paint to take away the white of the paper, and then simply use PVA glue to hold the completed component in place on the building. For the chimneys, I print rectangles of the right height with a couple of chevrons to show where the run of the roof will go once they're in place. These stick to 1mm card and are cut out. It's a simple case of stacking them together in place on the building, and making sure that they are square and accurate as possible. The inner chimney is stuck either side of the central support, and since each one is to be 4 sheets of 1mm card wide, and this one is 3 sheets thick already, I need to add 2 layers of 0.5mm card to these ones. To help me get the roof support in the right place, and since I stuck this one on backwards, I stick a guide piece of label into place. Once the glue is dried, I use a nail file to gently square up the stacks of card, and with the stonework printed, I cut it into pieces in individual sides. I find doing this much easier than trying to fold a single piece right around the chimney. I use a grey watercolour pencil to take away the white paper edge, and then just place the piece onto the chimney with PVA glue. I work all around in this manner, and soon the chimney stacks are dressed in stone. It's just the roof support to add now. I've made videos of making roofs before, but the simple trick is to take the plan view of the roof complete with the gaps for the chimneys, measure the length of the gable, and then stretch the roof to that height. That leaves you with a piece of card that simply slots into place without the need for any fettling. Apart from this bit, which overlaps of course. There we go. With the roof support layer in place, I use Scale Scene's slate roof tile texture to dress the outer layer of card. This just glues on in overlapping strips, which are trimmed off once the glue is dry. The grey pencil takes away the card edge, and the piece drops in place. Constructing the roofs with strips like this is a really effective method. It's quite subtle, but it gives a lovely texture to the roof, and since we spend a lot of time looking down on our buildings from our modelling positions, I think it's quite important to have nice looking roofs. I use more stacks of 1mm card to finish the chimneys. Rectangles are glued into blocks of 4 and then wrapped with stone texture. More rectangles of card and paper. I glue a rectangle of card into the middle of the paper. Cut away squares around the corners, score each edge, tightly fold and glue, and then I trim away the excess to leave a stone slab. With these done, I stick the small wall part onto a slab, stick a slab on top of that, and then a smaller slab on top of that. This gives a passable chimney top, which when placed on top of the stack already there, leads to a passable chimney. The roof ridge is topped with scale scenes ridging tiles, and the overall effect is complete. I'll add the trademark wonky Chandwell chimney pots once the building's finished. Remember, if you'd like to see this building for real, I'll be taking it with me when I go to Rail X Buxton on the 6th of July. Do come along, it'd be really nice to say hello. I've made a few videos before on how to work out roofs, and there's one here, so go and have a look at that. I think you might enjoy it. Next week I've got a rather important announcement to make. It's quite exciting, so listen out for that video. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this one, take care, and I'll see you next time.